This is the Microsoft Cloud Show, episode 174, where today CJ and I are going to catch up and talk a little bit about some of the latest Azure and Microsoft Office news, recorded live December the 29th, 2016. The Microsoft Cloud Show is sponsored by Rencor. Rencor is a market leader in the code analysis space. Founded and driven by high-profile international SharePoint and Office 365 experts, their main goal is to help any organization using Microsoft's enterprise productivity environments to work more efficiently by providing software that optimizes and secures their collaboration solutions. Rencor's most recognized product, the SharePoint Code Analysis Framework, SPCAF, is the de facto standard tool for verifying the quality, compliance, and governance of SharePoint and Office 365 customizations. If your company is using SharePoint or Office 365 and you're struggling to get your Office 365 and SharePoint customizations under control, check them out at spcaf.com to learn all the ways that SPCAF can help you. Good morning, CJ. How's it going?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good in the middle of the week between Christmas and New Year's. I guess Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's, and and other religions as well that I'm not as familiar with their dates that they celebrate or observe. But you and I seem like the only people that are in the office.
That seems pretty much the case. It's very, very quiet this week, actually, at the Hyperfish office. Engineering is in the house, and Jeremy's kicking around as well. But other than that, everybody's either in another country or still on vacation. Should be back shortly, though.
Yeah, I like working this week because things are so quiet and you can get a lot done and the email goes down and...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No chat and everything, so...
It's a nice time of year.
It is. You don't feel so bad about working just a few hours, taking an hour off to play Xbox, working a few hours.
Yeah, throwing a few Forza laps, that sort of thing. Oh, we don't do any of that here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've been on the Forza kick the last week. We got the Porsche expansion pack, and
nice.
It's a lot of fun. Do you guys have that?
Not the Porsche expansion pack, but yeah, we have Forza.
I'm surprised. I thought Brian would have that.
That's true, actually. I'll have to make sure he realizes he's a lesser of a man by not having that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see too how well he does with. There's this one. I can't remember which one it is now that I'm talking about. I think it's a 958, but you go through like this series where you go through like the Porsche anthology, and it's like the early years, the middle years, and then the later years, and you have to get third or better, and you get different cars with each one that you can't upgrade. And so I do the difficulty. I do the above average difficulty with the different driver cars you go after, and I got the 958, and man, every time you shift, it takes like 2 full seconds to shift, and you lose about 4 miles an hour as you're shifting. So the trick is that you're better through the turns. You have more grip, better through the turns. Like, for example, we're both familiar with the Coda track in Austin. Oh, yeah. And that sweeping turn after 15, where I think it's like 16, 17, 18, 19. Yep. And the chicanes on the back of the track. You can hit those almost full out while everyone else is flooring it around you. So you always get overtaken on the front stretch and the back stretch.
For the corners.
But those corners, man, you can sit there and blow by guys, but it's just, and you can't, if you ever drop down into first, it takes forever to get from first to second. And so it's like...
Got to keep the momentum.
Yeah, I think one afternoon, trying to get there without dropping the difficulty down, I could not get better than 8th or 9th place for 22 attempts.
Gotcha.
It's good fun.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so we now have we didn't get it for Christmas, but it's on the list. My son and I are saving up for a play wheel and a play seat, and
oh yeah,
they got a really cool new play seat for that too. It's called the Play Seat Challenge. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, it's like a lawn chair that completely folds up to being about 8 or 9 inches thick.
Oh, that's cool. For storage.
Yeah, and it's all like straps and stuff. And the best part, the thing I like about it the most, first of all, it's cheap. It's like $220.
Cheap. That's relative.
Well, for a play seat that can usually go for 600 or 1,000.
Right.
But most of them have that bar going up the middle, so it's hard to use one foot to go between the brake and the gas. This one has like an arm that kind of like opens up above, and so it's wide open underneath.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's your legs are full out underneath it. You can sit down without having to try and climb into it. So it's
cool. Yeah, that sounds rad.
Yeah, we're saving up for it. That's what I didn't get for Christmas. What did you get for How about you? Did you get anything cool?
I've been tinkering around with a bunch more home automation. And just before the show, actually, we were saying we should really do a deep dive show on home automation and gadgetry and techie stuff. But I have added a Harmony Elite and Harmony Hub to my setup at home. So now I can automate all the audio-visual things. and it all connects up with my smart things, home automation, and other bits and pieces I have around the house and stuff like that. So now I can tell Alexa to turn on and off the TV, which drives my kids absolutely mental. They watch very little TV, but when they do watch it, it's usually right before dinner while Vicky and I are in the kitchen hanging out. Well, I won't pretend. Vicky makes dinner. I provide moral support, and then when it's time, I'll be like, Alexa, turn off the TV, and just screaming and hollering from the other room. It's glorious.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. I also got a really cool cocktail book from a bar here called Cannon. It's quite a famous cocktail bar here, and or whiskey and cocktail bar, I should say. And they've put out a book of cocktails, or the owners of the place have put out a book. And so I'm working my way through looking at those and bookmarking a few delicious, tasty cocktails to make, which I thought was, really, really nice. How about you? What did Santa bring, AC?
Santa brought me mostly clothes. My wife got me some clothes from athletic clothes, like workout stuff and running stuff from, was it Lululemon or
Oh, you've got yoga pants, haven't you?
I don't. Actually, I don't.
Remember, tights are not pants, AC.
No, I get that. Yeah, trust me. Okay, so cards on the table. There's a pair of running shorts and a running shirt. And she did give me a pair of, I will call them long Lulu pants. They're definitely not like workout pants or tights or anything like that.
Yeah.
Super comfortable, but they just don't fit me right. And they're a little awkward. So I got to go return those.
Gotcha.
That's not me, but I will tell you, man, most comfortable underwear in the world. Anyway, so but I think that mostly it was I got money from like family and stuff, and already used my money to go buy my own big Christmas gift, which nice. I know people are going to laugh at this, but should be delivered tomorrow. Apple Watch Series 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mostly for the running side.
You're taking the smartwatch plunge. Actually, that's very timely, because one of the guys on my team at work yesterday said, hey, watch this. Like, excuse the pun, right? And so we use MFA for Office 365 and all that. And he logged into the Azure portal or whatever, and it popped up the MFA prompt, and his watch just had a single button, and he just went, boop, and that was his MFA login.
Oh, that's awesome.
Azure Authenticator app has watch extensions, or whatever you want to call them, for Android, and I think it also does it for Apple Watch as well. So MFA becomes a whole lot simpler when you can just tap your watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got it. I had I think it's called a Jawbone Up band originally, and then I got the Microsoft band and the Microsoft Band 2, and I think that the most reliable feature of the Microsoft band was its lack of reliability.
It was reliably unreliable.
It really was. It did a really good job of failing.
Yeah.
But I finally decided, I was like, you know what? If I want to go, I need something for when I run. I don't like to try and use my phone for everything. I want something for when I run. And there's so many different options. I looked at like the Fitbit Blaze. I looked at the Garmin watches and stuff. But the thing is that none of them do the integration of like what the Apple Watch did, which is I want to be able to like track my run on my phone, and I want my watch to just be a window into what my phone is showing me.
Gotcha.
And otherwise, it was always some stupid sync thing you had to do or run with it. Like Fitbit, you have to run with it and then export your data or have it get imported into Runkeeper on your phone. And I was like, this sounds kind of snooty or whatever, but there's something about being able to buy an Apple device, an Apple Care, and if the shit breaks, I take it back and I get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something to that.
I got sick of that stuff, and so I went that direction.
As you get older, AC, things like this matter because
they do.
Because you have less and less tolerance for BS in your life, and just being able to not fix something and just like swap it certainly helps.
I totally agree. So yes, I'm watching it now, and I'm watching my watch come across. Just left Shanghai this morning, so I'm watching it come across the Atlantic now, and magically on the same day it'll arrive some probably in Louisville. It's going to be a UPS, and then make sure I'm home tomorrow to sign for it and get it for a 12-mile run I got to do on Saturday.
Is it going by the Atlantic or the Pacific?
Usually it's the Pacific is what I think that they do, but It was a good experience. I went to go get it, and I saw that in the store they wouldn't be available until the end of January. The one that I wanted,
the pink one with like little sparkly pieces on the corners.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
I wonder it wasn't the charms hanging off of it. That's what I was going for.
It'll fit you. It'll match your yoga pants, buddy. I'm just kidding.
But no, yeah. No, but they said I went and ordered it the day after Christmas, so the 26th. It said preparing your shipment. This should take anywhere from 7 to 12 days or something like that.
Yeah.
2 days later, it says, "Hey, by the way, you shipped it." And I'm like, "Okay." And then it says, "Hey, it will be there by January the 3rd." And then yesterday, I get the notification that yesterday it says it will be there by January 3rd. And I'm like, well, I paid an extra $5 for 2 day shipping. I go look at UPS, and UPS is like, it'll be there on Friday. I'm like, that's the 30th. I'm like, Apple, you can't get any of your dates right, but thankfully your dates are worst case and not best case.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I'll be keen to hear what you think about it. And yeah, it's not something I've done yet, but I think I'd end up having to double fist because I wouldn't be prepared to drop my regular watch, I don't think.
So that's the thing is that I have two nice watches that are, I have two nice watches for my wife that are, I use them as my primary watches, but they're also kind of like jewelry.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wanted something that I could wear all the time. I like the features. I like the features, even the non-athletic stuff. I like the features of having the band and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, if I use it just for running, then it's an expensive running watch. But I mean, hell, the Garmin's are the exact same price. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
keen to get your feedback, see how you go.
I'll let you know in the next episode.
What do we got on the cards today, sir?
Before we dive into a little bit of news here, it's been a quiet time because it's been, the week between right before New Year's is fairly quiet. So I think that what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about news from both Azure and Microsoft Office. But before we do that, let's pay some bills and let's have a word from one of our sponsors. The Microsoft Cloud Show is sponsored by ShareGate. ShareGate makes it easier for organizations to adopt and use the latest Microsoft productivity tools, helping millions of users be happier and more productive at work. ShareGate is trusted by over 10,000 IT admins from over 110 countries to manage, migrate, and secure their SharePoint and Office 365 environments. ShareGate is recognized as the must-have tool for day-to-day administration of on-premises, cloud, and hybrid environments. Interested in learning more? Check them out on ShareGate.com to learn how ShareGate can make you more productive. All right, so CJ, we've got a little bit of news here, and then we got a couple picks at the very end here. At least I have some picks. I'm not sure if you have any.
I have a couple, I think.
Cool, that'll work. So why don't we just go ahead and just dive into these? I have 2 Azure and 2 Office ones. My 2 Azure ones are related to storage, so around Azure Storage. So I'll do these 2, and then I'll let you go ahead and grab any ones that you may have on you.
Sounds good.
And so the first one is around larger block blobs. And so this is from a post that came out just on December the 22nd by Michael Haas, which is a program manager on Azure Storage. And what they did is they have recently increased the maximum file size for block blobs in Azure Storage. They said that a lot of customers have been requesting support for much larger files. The largest file size that you could do previously was 195 gigs. Now you can go all the way up to 4.77 terabytes. This is going to support a better diverse range of scenarios from media companies and storing 4K videos. The thing that surprised me about this is I had no idea that people were actually doing 8K videos as well. And then also doing things like letting cancer researchers storing like sequencing data for DNA. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to check out like what the REST API that supports doing this and doing things like you could do block sizes that you upload. They've increased the maximum allowable block size from 4 megs to 100 megs.
Gotcha.
So it's been a lot of stuff they've added here on the storage side.
Yeah, that's nice. I guess people are storing more and more stuff, so this is just kind of in step with people's storage requirements, which is nice to see, I guess.
Absolutely. My other one that I had too around storage was around import and export. And this is something that we've had before, but one of the things that this is just a feature that Microsoft wanted to highlight again and to also add some new capabilities to it. So what you can do here at the import export is that, say, for instance, you have a ton of data that you want to store inside of Azure Storage, but uploading it's going to take some time. So good use case for this, I've got a NAS, and I just upgraded my internet connection to to fiber at my house, which is crazy. I cut 50% the price, and my speeds have gone up to 900 megs up and 800 megs down.
Wow, nice.
900 megs down, 800 megs up. It fluctuates down to like the 400s, but still, it's pretty freaking crazy. But I've got a bunch of data, and I want to back it up off my NAS up into Azure Storage. But I did the calculation, and it's going to take something about like 2.5 weeks to upload all the data based on the fact that my NAS, the bottleneck is my NAS, and copying stuff off the NAS, streaming it online is the slow part. So I have this stuff also on external 3 terabyte drives. And one of the things that you can do with this is that you can go into the Azure portal and you can set up an import-export job. And what that will do is it'll allow you to copy data onto an external drive. You add a little bit of metadata to the drive and register it with Azure, and then you mail it via FedEx or UPS or whatever over to an Azure data center. And without looking at the data, they just plug it in and import the data into the storage account that you're looking for. So then once that's done on my NAS, I can just say only upload stuff that has a different file size or different date stamp from the stuff that's on my NAS. Well, those files already be there, so I don't have to worry about the upload thing. I'll just end up using, the mail to seed it with the original data.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
that's nice. I use CrashPlan at home for doing a bunch of backup stuff, and it's pretty smart about doing things like that, but it's pretty slow as well at uploading to cloud and things like that. So you got to be pretty careful. It's good about diffs and things like that.
Yeah, I was doing this with S3 on Amazon, but the thing about Amazon's S3 is that when you want to go from what they call from hot to cold storage, and their storage is called Glacier. Glacier is significantly cheaper than hot storage, but the downside is that you can't get your data right away, which for backup data, it's fine. I've never had to go back and get it. When you end up having to get it, you just have to, you essentially are putting a request in that you want to get the data, and then it can take up to 6 hours for them to get the data and make it available for you. Anyway, this is a nice option for being able to I'm going to switch over to Azure. The Azure Storage, I wanted to do everything on Azure from Amazon, because with Azure Storage, instead of setting up like some sort of a policy to say archive this from hot to cold storage, I just simply flag the storage account saying, is this hot or cold storage? And so it's nothing special I have to set up. It's just a flag that you set on the storage account. And with Azure, it's actually going to be cheaper. The storage is actually going to be cheaper with Azure Cold Storage than it was going to be with Glacier over on Amazon. So that's nice. I'd rather have it all in one spot than have it split up against all my assets in different places.
That's pretty cool. Nice.
So what you got?
We've got a new thing called, well, it's not super new, but it's called a thing called Microsoft App Source. And this is basically another app catalog by the looks of it, except it's targeted at a growing collection of apps, ISVs, systems integrators, and customers. So basically, it's an app catalog, and from the Azure team by the looks of it. And it's a place where ISVs and so forth can go list their apps in all sorts of different categories, by different products and so forth. They have featured apps, all that sort of thing. And it's basically stuff that runs on Azure effectively, in a nutshell, right? It's highlighting things that rely on Azure and run on Azure. So if customers are looking for a particular solution that they can, that they know relies on Azure and its various certifications that it has and all that sort of stuff, they can come to AppSource and go find that out. But it's also not just apps. So it's apps, but it's also partners. So if you're looking for partners, you remember Microsoft Pinpoint that nobody's used in like 10 years?
I don't think I ever saw that.
It was like a partner catalog, I guess, for want of a better word. If you were trying to find a partner that did certain things from Microsoft, you could use Pinpoint to go find them. Feels a little bit like that in terms of cataloginess, and it's probably driven from some of the same things. But anyway, you come in and you say which products you're interested in, what categories, what industry and things, and you could find different partners as well that play in that space. And you can also go list your apps or your business and things like that on AppSource. But I think the idea is that they'll sort of use this as the place to go to find things that run on the Microsoft Cloud ecosystem, is the feeling I get.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's Microsoft AppSource.
Cool.
And you can find it at appsource.microsoft.com.
Very cool. You got any other ones?
I've got some picks, but that's my news. It's a light news week, it seems.
It is. I do have two more that I can share pretty quick here before we dive into our picks. Know that program called Visio that Office has?
Oh, yeah. I do vaguely remember Visio, yeah. It was an acquisition by Microsoft, actually.
Yeah, and it's always been a pretty slick app, but my challenge has been, since I switched over to Mac OS, it hasn't been something I can use that much because it's only worked on Windows. Well, there are two new announcements here around Visio that are pretty sweet. One is a Visio Online preview. We got the link to it in the show notes. And what this is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to go look at a Visio diagram right inside the browser.
So this is like Word Online or Excel Online, except for Visio?
Yeah, now I haven't exactly tried it too much to see what everything you can do. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if you can edit the documents. There's not a whole lot of stuff that really says what it is. But it says you can access the Visio diagrams on any device using your favorite web browser, zoom in and out, and move seamlessly from Visio Online to the full-featured desktop app for editing without leaving your document, which is great if you're on Windows. But
Gotcha.
It's moving in the right direction to make it a nice online thing. There's also been related news that Microsoft is starting to sundown or deprecate the Visio services that they have inside of SharePoint 2013 or inside of SharePoint. This makes more sense to have it away from SharePoint.
It'd be cool if it was a like Word or Excel Online, right, where you could go in and view or edit Visio docs, because Visio is great. It's just been neglected for many years. It's a big business in and of itself, Visio. Makes Microsoft a lot of money, but it's not really done anything recently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it has. You're right. It hasn't. They haven't done a whole lot to update or anything, but it's a pretty powerful app. The other thing that they did do, though, and I said one of the features of Visio Online is being able to look at a Visio drawing or document or diagram, whatever you want to call it, with any web browser that you're using. Well, what if you're on a tablet, like say iPad? Can you work there? Absolutely. But why would you do that when the other bit of announcement they have is the Visio viewer for iOS? So you can get a nice native Visio viewer for your iPad, or if you're really going to try and look at a fairly good sized drawing on your phone, you could do that too. But yeah, so you can actually go through and access these documents as well on your iPad as well. So turning it much more into going where the users actually are. That's nice because I can imagine lots of different cases where you'd want to be able to access your drawing, but using your tablet instead of, and not having it to be just a Windows tablet, but also if you were on, like say, an iPad or like the really big iPad.
Yeah, gotcha. The iPad Pro, whatever you want to call it.
The Pro 12-inch, yeah. So there's a Pro 9-inch, which is like the normal size, like Air, and then there's the Pro 12-inch, which is the bigger one.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice app. It's just been, I feel, there's not been much work done on it for a while, so it's nice to see them do the things they needed to do for the web, and then obviously for some mobile love as well.
Absolutely.
Hey, before we get into picks, why don't we break to talk to one of our sponsors?
Yeah, let's pay the bills again. The Microsoft Cloud Show is sponsored by Valid.nl. Valid's motto is stay ahead. Its mission is to enable its customers to excel in their business through the innovative use of IT. Valid is always on the lookout for new colleagues. Are you interested in all things happening in Azure, whether in infrastructure, SQL Server, Office 365, BI, SharePoint, or .NET? Look them up on Valid.nl. Okay, CJ, do you have any picks for us, for our listeners today?
I do. I've got 2 picks. 3 picks, really. I can't remember if I've talked about the third one. I always have this problem. I need to look back through our notes. But the first pick, it's actually a book recommendation called Into the Black. And Into the Black is the real-life techno-thriller from best-selling author and aviation expert that recaptures the historic moments leading up to the launch of the space shuttle Columbia and the exciting story of her daring maiden flight. Now, that's really an understatement. I'm halfway through this book. If you're into the space program and if you're into the space race, not just the shuttle, but everything from Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin all the way up to and through the US space program, through Mercury and Gemini and Apollo and things like that, this is the book for you. Talking about being space shuttle specific is kind of an understatement. It's really not just about the space shuttle. It's about the whole US space program running up to the shuttle and how the shuttle came to be. And it's fantastic. It's really good if you're into this. It's extremely tedious of detail, so there's a lot of detail in it. So if you're not into that sort of thing, like dates and people and things like that, then it's probably not for you. But it's really interesting. I'm probably halfway through, and they're just talking about the initial test flights of the first shuttle that they built, which was just an atmospheric test article. So they're just launching off the back of the 747 shuttle carrier aircraft.
Awesome. I love that. I know you didn't call this out as a pick. I know that I actually called it as one of my picks just recently. I finished it, but I remember I loved every bit of that book. I could not put it down.
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I made the mistake of starting a different book, and then I started a different book, and then I have another one that I just learned about recently that I'm dying to read, but my son is reading it now. It's so Star Wars Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
You've seen Star Wars.
I've heard they're getting George Lucas back to do the sequel to Rogue One.
I've heard that, yeah. And there's all these already some spoiler scenes that have come up about seeing guys flying in the Death Star and how they blew it up. Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil anything. If you didn't know the Death Star got blown up, and
they've got all these no-name actors.
I know. Who's Mark Hamill?
Yeah. Speaking of which, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's
Very
an absolute bummer.
So. It was. Yes, a real shock to... What's the saying out of Star Wars about millions of gasps? Silenced?
Millions of voices suddenly silenced.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing... This is probably going to be a little too off color for our show, but what the hell? The funniest thing that I ever heard Carrie Fisher say, she said she met someone who said that he had thought about her every day of his life. Well, 4 times a day. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm saying, if you didn't get the joke there, then that's probably a good thing. If you did get the joke, I apologize.
Oh dear! How about you? Have you got a pick for us?
I do. I have 2 picks. They're pretty geeky here. The first one is a site called hyperpolygot.org. It's about programming languages, and basically what it does is when you go to this site, it talks about different kinds of different languages, and when you jump into it, it shows you here's the quintessential hello world in C#, Java, Go, whatever. Here's the quintessential hello world in Angular, Ember, stuff. And so it's got a nice long list. There's very little fanfare about the site. It's very simple. How do you do lightweight markup between Markdown, ASCII doc, MediaWiki, all that stuff. It's really cool though to see how different languages kind of compare to different things. TypeScript and Dart, stuff like that.
I'm trying to read some Go right now, and so I may need to dive into this and have a squiz.
Oh, what little I've played with Go, I love it. We're going to do our goals and predictions and wishes for 2017. That episode's going to come out later in January because, well, frankly, CJ and I kind of dropped the ball on planning, and our next episode is going to be a really fun episode that we're both looking forward to, but we don't want to change the scheduling up too much. And so we had to push our projections one until probably the second half of January. So that's coming. But it's funny you mentioned Go because that's going to be one of my goals for 2017.
Yeah, Go seems really interesting. Just to give you a little sneak peek on what I'm looking at, I'm trying to build a file system driver for Docker using Go. When I say trying, what I mean is thinking about.
So you're just going in nice and light, right?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Why not? I'm trying to do a file system plugin for Docker using Go, and I don't understand it yet. So I need to learn more.
There's some stuff about that language. We'll talk more about that when we do our prediction stuff. But there's some really appealing parts of that language that I really liked.
Nice. What else you got?
My other pick is this is going to be interesting to see how well this is actually leveraged. But it's called VisDown, and the title of it is Make Visualizations Using Only Markdown. So if you go to visdown.amitcaps, that's kaps.com.
So VIZ?
Yeah, VIS as in Sam.
Okay.
So visdown.amitcaps.com. Again, we'll have the link in the show notes. You can very easily create a markdown based on, or a visualization of a graph using a CSV file as your data file. And it goes through and it shows a little demo there about creating, having different interactions with your drawings, having just a classic little not a 3D chart, but just a 2-dimensional chart with an X and a Y axis with descriptions on each one of the different axes and showing data plots on that axis. I don't know, it just seems really easy way to go through and do it. Imagine like you could very easily create the, what is it called? The Gartner Magic Quadrant using this.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just looking at the graphs. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's just simple. I mean, it's a really simple way to do a graph in Markdown. So I'm a huge fan of Markdown.
Yeah, gotcha.
Anyway, pretty cool.
Nice. Hey, I got
what else you got?
One final one. Keybase.io, and I don't know about you. There are lots of people in this world that don't understand public-private key encryption and the technologies and the concepts. I got to say, like, I'm no expert on it, right? Every time I've got to go create a public-private key pair, I've got to start reading manuals and looking at things and learning how to use OpenSSL and all this sort of stuff. And Keybase.io kind of makes that stuff easy for laymen, I guess, for want of a better word, right? It's a website you go to and you create an account. You log into it like you do with a regular password. Only you know the password. They don't know the password. And it's basically a place for you to publicize your public keys for things. So maybe you've got a PGP key or what have you for signing things or what have you. You can go publish that there. But you could also store files, sign files, encrypt files, do all those kinds of things through the site really simply and easily without having to be like a major PKI expert with a command line and that sort of thing. And so it's a safe place to put those. Also, they've got this thing called Keybase file system, which means you can mount your Keybase account as a file system on your computer. So things like encrypting a file is as simple as dragging and dropping a file into a folder on your machine, and it takes care of everything else. So I've just started playing around with it, and basically their tagline is keys for everyone. And I found it or came across it from a colleague who I was trying to find a place to store some personal SSH keys for a couple of machines I've got in Azure. And I didn't want to stick them in Dropbox, and I didn't want to put them in a couple of different places. So I started looking for other things, and this looked like a good solution to that. Yeah,
I saw you do your whole validation thing with Twitter and Facebook and everything up on, I saw you post those on social media. And I remember seeing this a while ago. I think Liam Cleary is the one that kind of clued me into it, and he got his keys early on. And it's something I've been meaning to do, and seeing you do it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I meant to do this. So I went back and I did it as well. But I love just the simplicity that they've done to set this up. There's nothing really fancy about this. They've just tried to make it, they've lowered the bar to being able to encrypt stuff and to be able to share things securely with colleagues and such. So this is really cool. And in the show, we both have our accounts set up. They're public profiles, and I'll put links to our profiles as well up in the show notes. But it's a free service. It's pretty slick, and it kind of goes along with that same concept of what's it called? Let's Encrypt, where SSL keys are free for anyone. So to me, it just seems like something like that, making things a little bit, it's trying to make this whole secure bit a bit easier and lowering the bar to entry for folks.
That's certainly the case. It's more, it's nothing new per se. It's more like making it accessible to mere mortals.
Yeah. Cool.
So Keybase.io.
Cool. Well, hey, like all of our stuff that we've posted, or all of our links and our other shows, we will make sure that all of these are going to go up in the show notes. So they will be not only in the app for this episode where you find this stuff on your wherever you listen to the podcast, but it's also going to be you'll get it as part of your email that will be sent out as well. And one thing that CJ and I are also looking to do kind of soon, if you're not already on our mailing list, but we're looking to create little swag contests where you might have heard other podcasts do this, but we'll pick a listener at random who's on the email list, or maybe submits a question every episode, or maybe once a month. We're not exactly sure how we're going to do it, and we'll send you a little bit of Microsoft Cloud Show goodies.
Cloud Show swag.
Yeah.
Goodies.
So,
nice.
How do you get into that? Sign up for the mailing list.
Exactly. That's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
All right, AC. Well, we are recording this just before New Year, so I wish you a happy New Year and a prosperous 2017.
I wish you the exact same. I know we're both in budding businesses, and I hope the exact same for you. I hope we come back and on our 2017 wrap-up, we can maybe do this from, maybe Cancun or maybe Costa Rica or something like that. Maybe we'll do the podcast from a boat.
We should really do a destination podcast. Yeah, that's a good call.
We should really time it around a NASA social or a launch of a rocket.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Bingo.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
Awesome.
All right, have a good one.
All right, man. You too, bud.
Cheers.
Cheers. Did you like this episode? Send us a tweet about it and drop us a 5-star review in iTunes. Word of mouth recommendations are the most effective ways for us to grow the show. We'd really appreciate it. If you have a question for us, go to microsoftcloudshow.com/questions, where you can submit it as text or record it as a WAV or an MP3 and provide a link so that we can play your question on the show. Our theme music is an excerpt from Evaporated Air by Monk Turner, used under Creative Commons. You can subscribe to us in iTunes and the Google Play Store by searching for Microsoft Cloud Show or via RSS at microsoftcloudshow.com, where you'll also find show notes of each episode. You can also find us on Facebook, searching for Microsoft Cloud Show, or on Twitter at MS Cloud Show. And finally, sign up to our mailing list by heading to our website and entering your email to interact with us, participate in upcoming interviews, and other cool stuff. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.